video from a hospital basically saying, yeah, you just say the word and we're going to get right in. Here's a video. I believe this is from a Boston hospital. Take a look at this.
A child will often know that they are transgender from the moment that they have any ability to express themselves, and parents will often tell us this. We have parents who tell us that their kids, they knew from the minute they were born practically, and actions like refusing to get a haircut or standing to urinate, trying to stand to urinate, refusing to stand to urinate, trying on siblings' clothing, playing with the quote opposite gender toys, things like that. There is more and more a group of adolescents that we are seeing that really are coming to the realization that they might be trans or gender diverse a little bit later on in their life. So what we're seeing from them is that they always sort of knew something was maybe off and didn't have the understanding to know that they might be trans or have a different gender identity than the one they had been assigned. So that is a growing population that we are seeing, and that's being recognized as being trans and able to be treated.
Gender-affirming hysterectomy is very similar to most hysterectomies that occur. A hysterectomy itself is the removal of the uterus, the cervix, which is the opening of the uterus, and the fallopian tubes, which are attached to the sides of the uterus. Some gender-affirming hysterectomies will also include the removal of the ovaries, but that's technically a separate procedure called a bilateral oophorectomy. And not every gender-affirming hysterectomy includes that, and people who are getting gender-affirming hysterectomies do not have to have their ovaries removed.
The idea of teachers deliberately doing this and hiding things from parents and even dispensing drugs, this is not a conspiracy theory. A lot of these teachers boast about it. There's an interesting account called Libs of Tik Tok. It's I don't even think liberal is the right word, progressives who are boasting about what they're doing in schools. I don't know why they boast about it. They think maybe parents aren't watching these TikTok videos, and I suppose in most cases that's true. Here's a sample of some Libs of TikTok talking about, a campaign to sexualize their children and even to hand out pharmaceuticals to block their sexuality. Take a look at these.
We need to talk about what's happening in Texas. The governor is trying to take away vital health care from transgender kids and labeling it as child abuse. Giving gender-affirming care to transgender children is medically necessary and supports their health and well-being. Did you know in many states you can get certain types of health care without your parents being there or ever finding out about it? It's today's Daily Doctor Facts. To figure out if you can get care sans parentals, go to your state health department website and find the laws related to teen health, consent, and confidentiality.
So, with hormones, the mental health piece kind of ties into that because we're able to give 2 letters, either for hormones or for surgery, readiness, things like that. And we delve deeper into it with our amazing team from UCI Gender Diversity Program. So, some of the folks in the UCI Gender Diversity Program are Rick Cervantes, who goes over the insurance part, Jeff Vu, who's a nurse practitioner, Dr. Hunt, Dr. Lynn Hunt, who's a pediatrician. We have Abigail, Catherine, and Caroline as well, who are med students who have been incredible and teach amazing information about hormones. So the hormone section, we talk about estrogen, we talk about testosterone, we talk about blockers, we talk about stopping puberty for our youth, ways in order to navigate that, what hormones will do, what they won't do, the timelines and things of that nature. Really exciting.
I'm a doctor, and apparently the state of Texas needs to reconsider what it considers child abuse. Because you know what's abusive? Ignoring the needs of your child when your child is telling you what they need. And engaging in behavior as a parent that could lead them to unalive themselves. Over 80% of trans youth have admitted to having thoughts about unaliving themselves, and over 50% have actually attempted it. In these individuals, denying them care that we know is life-saving.
In my last video, I told you how adults are my problem, and I have to get them to take me seriously, which means I have to consistently remind people to take me seriously. I have to set up boundaries. If people do not use the correct pronouns, the correct language, the correct title, the correct name, then sometimes I am forced to remind them to. And if they continue to refuse, and I don't mean by accident, I mean to actively refuse, then I get to a point where I maybe have to cut them out of my life. Kids, their brains are more elastic than that. They get it, they don't care. They're just here for a good time. And the queer ones, they see me. And they saw me before I was ready to be seen. So I do them a service now, and they call me Mix.
I'm like very out at work. At least at my teaching job, I'm very out. I wear my pronouns and stuff, and I'm like, I like correct the kids, and the kids have gotten to like correcting each other. And it was like so awesome today. I was in charge of our like activity, and one of the kids referred to me as a girl, and one of my kids was like, Jamie doesn't have a gender. Jamie's not a girl. Oh my God. And like, the kid was just like, what do you mean? And she was just like, Jamie doesn't have a gender. Jamie is not a girl. I like the way that has me is so emotional.
I think it's madness, but let me just tell you a quick story. I'm sure you know this, Dr. Lindsay, because you know these things. In the Soviet Union, their version of Boy Scouts, the young pioneers, they wore a little lapel pin, all the kids. And it was of a young boy named Pavel Morozov. Maybe you know the story. He was a Ukrainian boy. I forget how old he was. He was very young. And the story is probably embellished by the Soviets for propaganda reasons, but I'm sure there's a grain of truth under it. Pavel Morozov overheard his parents criticizing Stalin's plans to forcibly collectivize Ukrainian farms in what became known as the Holodomor, the forced famine, the engineered famine. So he overheard his parents speaking ill of Stalin's plans, and because he had been alienated by authorities from his family and taught to love the state instead, he informed on him. He ratted. He told the police about his parents, and they arrested them and sent them off to Siberia. And Pavel Morozov was given the title by Stalin, informant number one. Now, we use the word informant as an insult. He's an informant. Don't trust him. He's a snitch. No, in the Soviet Union, that was the greatest achievement. And so every young pioneer, every boy in Russia, when they would join Scouts, would wear a little picture of Pavel Morozov in a lapel. Like it wouldn't be a neutral symbol or an outdoorsy symbol or even Lenin. It was Pavel Morozov. The role model for a Soviet boy was someone who would not only alienate their family, but throw their family in prison because their higher loyalty was to Stalin. And until the end, until 1989, that was what young boys took home from Boy Scouts, young pioneers. Imagine the terror that would put in a family. You say Child Welfare Services taking kids away whose parents say, don't, you're not a demi-gender, whatever. Imagine the terror that the KGB would come and take your kids away and throw you in Siberia because your kid was told he's being weaponized against you. I'm sure some of my viewers have heard me talk about Pavel Morozov before. That was the hero of the Boy Scouts of Russia. What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday, I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.